fight against Carl the Truth Williams. Morrison's people wanted the 3 knockdown rule to be waived, but no dice. Now up to ring announcer Michael Buffer.
Secret recipe at Kentucky Fried Chicken present 12 rounds of boxing for the World Boxing Organization Heavyweight Championship of the World. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Dr. Elias Ghanem, Commissioners Nat Carasali, Bruce Lane, Luther Mack, and Dr. James Nave. Chief Inspector Mark Ratner. WBO President, former light heavyweight champion Jose Torres. WBO Supervisor at ringside, Alberto Aleman. Physicians in attendance, lead physician Dr. Flip Homansky, Dr. James Wishgame, and Dr. Robert Boy. The timekeepers are James Cavan and Mike Lasella. The scoring for this bout would be done on a 10-point must system, and the 3 judges assigned at ringside are Patricia Jarman, Jerry Roth, and Dalby Shirley. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee Mills Lane. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of the Las Vegas Hilton, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with stars and bars, weighing in at 226 pounds, this knockout artist has a professional record of 36 victories with 32 KOs against only 1 defeat. He comes here tonight from Kansas City. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the number 2 ranked heavyweight in the world, Tommy the Duke Morrison. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks and weighing in at 256 pounds. We have the 1968 Olympic gold medalist, who now as a professional is 72-3 with 67 KOs, which is the greatest knockout ratio in heavyweight history. Ladies and gentlemen, from Houston, Texas, presenting the former heavyweight champion of the world, here's
gentlemen, Angelo, and if he goes right here, I'm not going to call it low. Right here is going to be all right. Now, you've only had your instructions 1 time. This is for the championship of the world. I expect a tough, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions here? Any questions here? Let's get it on.
Tommy Morrison is built like a sheer granite cliff. The main question here is whether there is glass or granite on top of the mountain.
And just as Morrison had his own official controversy, wanting the 3 knockdown rule to be wiped out for this bout, Foreman complained about referee Mills Lane, believing that he would have preferred another man to be the 3rd man in the ring. But the Nevada State Athletic Commission stuck to its guns and its favorite referee, Lane, for the bout. Tommy Morrison has said, Riddick Bowe, that he will be too busy for George. He has a habit of starting slowly. Here he tries to use the jab to get active early.
You see Tommy's doing something different already, and George's hands are extremely high. Tommy's backing up in this fight. We've never seen him do that before. So perhaps he knows something that we don't.
Do you think there's any chance that Morrison can be effective backing up?
Not as effective as he is coming forward.
Most of the early action begins with Morrison. Foreman is expected to try to land the jab and dictate the pace of the bout with that punch. Morrison trying to hook to the body. He says that he doesn't believe George Foreman can take punches to the body well, but few fighters have tried to go to George's body because you run the risk of bringing your hands down and leaving your head exposed.
George needs to cut the ring off instead of following Tommy around.
Right hand over the top by Morrison is the first heavy blow of the bout.
George is going to Tommy, but he's not really throwing punches.
Tommy Morrison's big weapon is the left hook, maybe the best in the heavyweight division. George Foreman, conqueror twice of Joe Frazier, said to us, left hookers don't bother me. So far, Morrison has tried to use the jab much more liberally than is normally the case for him. And Foreman not yet untracked, seemingly, Riddick.
Not at all. George is walking to Tommy, but I think he should be throwing more punches at this point.
Tommy Morrison beating Foreman to the punch in these early exchanges. George Foreman not yet started with the jab. Right hand to the body by Morrison. Seemed to sting Foreman, but George keeps coming forward. Right to the body by Morrison. Morrison continuing to beat Foreman to the punch, Riddick.
George has got something up his sleeves. What, at this point, we don't know.
Left hook by Morrison. There's the first thunderbolt, and the right lands behind it. Round one is a good one for Tommy Morrison.
Tommy Morrison has a game plan, which is unusual for him. We'll see if he can stick to it.
Very good. The jabs start working pretty. Guys looking to sucker you, just keep your hands up. That's all it's all about, really. Nothing there. Give me the best ring. Everything pretty. Everything pretty. I see it.
We're going to set up that hook. 7-7-2s to body, 7-7-2-1s.
Relax, baby. Doing good.
Any combinations, go to the body first, come up to the head. Bring his hands down. Good, nice job. Real nice job. Good and relaxed. Good and relaxed. Keep that 7 coming back high. When you feel yourself in the corner, get out of it.
Tommy Morrison fights by the numbers, something introduced to boxing by Customato, who of course was Mike Tyson's mentor. He wants Morrison to keep going to the body and then come up to the top.
Punch stat numbers indicated that in the first round, Tommy Morrison threw 4 times as many punches as George Foreman, and Morrison starts the action early in round 2. Now Foreman unleashes the jab, and George looks just a little lighter on his feet, more willing to try to get a rhythm going.
I think George should use the jab a bit more. He might frustrate Tommy with it and open Tommy up for something.
Left hook by Morrison landed on Foreman's face. George has used the jab a couple times early in this round. It is still Morrison who is busier and who seems to be beating George to the punch. Now Morrison makes Foreman back up with the left hook and throws a right hand to the body.
I would like to see George give Tommy Morrison a little more feints and see how he reacts to him.
There's a blunt left inside by Foreman. He misses with a sweeping right. Lands the jab.
Beautiful.
Right hand by Morrison was solid. He lands a left hook inside. Foreman does not show hurt. Tommy Morrison boxing more effectively so far than most might have expected him to do.
This is the in and out formula that Alex Stewart used so effectively in his fight with George. Riddick.
Perhaps it might work for Tommy at this point. But let's see what happens if Tommy is able to last a couple of rounds.
And you saw again the quickness with which Morrison unleashes the left hook. Right hand over the top. George Foreman with the right hand up, very left hook conscious, was open to that right hand.
I'm really surprised George isn't throwing more punches at this point.
Maybe George is surprised by how busy Morrison has been. Now there's a left hand by Foreman, and remember, when you watch Big George, He tends to make opponents woozy sometimes with what appear to be glancing blows. He has exceptionally heavy hands.
Let's see what happens when George is able to land a couple of more of them jabs.
Jab landed for Foreman. Morrison comes back with 2 right hands.
Every time George hits him with a jab, he backs Tommy up.
Morrison, left jab, left hook. Both were glancing blows. Foreman lands the jab again, and again Morrison backs up just as you said he would, Riddick. Right hand lands for Foreman. Morrison momentarily stunned. Closing seconds of round 2. That was the most effective blow so far for Foreman, and Morrison answers with a left hook and a right hand and another left hook.
Fine.
Damn, trying to get around.
Okay. Deep breath. Spit bucket. Good, George.
Use your 7 a little more. Puff that baby up. Yeah. You waited in the corner and you let him get off first.
Morrison has an edge in youth and quickness and energy, and he's trying to impose that edge here early in the fight. And here comes a combination, and I think that one stunned George just momentarily. And at the end, George comes in with a pushing but hard right hand. He's a very hard puncher, George is. I should say a very heavy puncher.
Double entente, huh? He's heavy and he can punch. Tommy Morrison was breathing very heavily between rounds 2 and 3. Remember that he has had a stamina problem in the past. In his loss to Ray Mercer, Morrison dominated the early rounds, then very visibly and obviously ran out of gas and was pummeled mercilessly by Mercer.
I would like to see if Tommy can maintain his pace for quite some time.
Well, if he can do that, Riddick, he's going to cause problems for George, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think George is waiting for timing around the gas.
The book on Morrison would be that exactly that would happen. Morrison landed a hard left hand to the body inside in that last exchange. Now tries the left hook again. A lot more jabs than Morrison threw in his last fight here on HBO against Carl the Truth Williams. Foreman lands a couple of lefts and follows with a right. And Morrison comes back with a left hook. Morrison ducking the right hand, just got away.
George is also using his weight now. He's pushing Tommy back, making Tommy use his legs, and eventually, perhaps Tommy might tire.
Jim, I thought that right hand that George threw landed flush. If it did, that's the good news for Tommy Morrison.
I agree with you, Larry. I think it was the kind of blow with which Foreman has damaged other fighters over the years, and Morrison seemed to take it pretty well. But now the jab lands twice in the teeth of Tommy Morrison, and George is beginning to get on track with the jab, Riddick.
Let's see what happens when Tommy has to take these jabs, these right hands, and gets winded.
The left hand landed inside for Foreman. Morrison was wild with the answering left hook. Now a left and a right for Morrison. Straight left hand for Morrison. He's been able to get to Foreman just as Alex Stewart did in this same ring in April of '92. Both fighters landing the jab. George Foreman's jab has been compared to being hit in the mouth by a telephone pole as you pass in front of a window. Clubbing left hand by Foreman, tries to follow with a right and a left. Both missed. Morrison lands the left hook. There is a mouse under the left eye of Tommy Morrison. No doubt the product of a Foreman right hand.
I think down the Foreman pressure is starting to show on Tommy.
Tommy sticks the jab effectively. And again, and again, and again. 4 straight jabs for Morrison. Closing seconds of round 3 now. And there's a little bit of a mouse under the right eye of Foreman as well. So watch the left eye of Tommy Morrison, the right eye of George Foreman as round 3 comes to a close.
Keep it slow. Looking good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that's the round you took off. Relax, relax, calm down. All right? Your recovery's good. Your recovery's good. The more you relax, the better off you are, okay? Now, we need more punches. I need more sevens, okay? That's what's going to keep him off of you. Fakes and flints when he gets close and you don't want to throw.
Here's Morrison using his body shots exactly how he planned. He's fighting a very good tactical fight, but he caught a solid right hand from George Foreman, and once again, the good news is he's still standing. George trying to bully him, trying to impose his strength, trying to impose his will, trying to impose his image as George Foreman.
Punch stat numbers say that in round 3, George Foreman landed 23 of 35 punches. That's a 66% connect rate. Remember that he's using mostly the jab. Morrison tries to start the action as round 4 begins. We are evolving toward a slugfest as Tommy Morrison again lands the left flush on George Foreman's face. Foreman throws the jab. Morrison answers with a left of his own. It'll be a real test for Tommy to see if he can maintain his will and his stamina in the face of Foreman's thudding jab.
Also his battle plan, Jim.
Right hand by Morrison knocks Foreman's head back a little bit. They trade punches in the middle of the ring. Tommy seems able to take George's stuff for the moment, Riddick.
Yeah, I think now we're going to fight. We get into a good fight now. But how long can Tommy take it? So far, I'm very impressed. Tommy puts his punches together very well.
Morrison again landing flush on Foreman's face. He seems for the moment to have forgotten to go to the body, which was part of the plan, but he's landing effectively to the head. Foreman with the jab. Morrison answers with a right. Foreman pawing with the jab that time. Low blow for Foreman. He got away with it as Mills Lane was directly behind him. Morrison's left hook partially blocked. Tommy keeps walking to his right, trying to keep George from setting up to throw the jab. But Foreman is getting increasingly quick with his bread and butter punch. Both fighters getting a little bit of a breather right now. It's been a pretty intense pace in the early going, particularly when you consider Morrison's stamina problems and Foreman's age. Left to the body by Morrison, right hand upstairs landing. Foreman still landing consistently, and there's the right hand over the top. Morrison swinging wildly with the right. Most of the heavier blows have come from Tommy Morrison. Right hand lead by Morrison. Foreman clubbing with the right hand to the top of the head. Tommy lands a right and a left in return. A slugfest, Riddick. And George just keeps pressing forward.
Yes, indeed.
I got it. I'll get the iron.
Don't talk loud, please.
No, I won't say nothing. I'm with you. Give me it. I'm here. I'm here nice and quiet, baby. Anything you want.
On our jabs to throw our combinations. We got to have head movement before and after the jab. Before and after. He's starting to creep up on you in the corner. You got to make it.
Okay, Harold Letterman, give us your scorecard.
Larry, 39-37, 3 rounds to 1, Tommy Morrison. Now, I want to tell you something. I'm always talking about ring generalship. Watch Tommy Morrison move in, get his shots off, move out. Beautiful ring generalship. Moves to the right, which is an unnatural move for him, and he's using that really good double jab. Doubling up on a jab just like Riddick Bowe does.
I have the fight scored 2 rounds apiece.
Round 5 begins. Punch stat numbers with an interesting stat. Tommy Morrison, who couldn't seem to remember to throw the jab against Carl the Truth Williams, has thrown 118 of them already against George Foreman, landing at a 28% rate. Morrison with a thudding left hook. Foreman comes back with the left. Right hand by Morrison, and the good news for Morrison early, Riddick, is that he's taken George's stuff. George has weathered the left hook a couple of times.
I'm pretty impressed with Tommy. He's been throwing a variety of different punches. I've never seen him use a lead right hand, but he's been doing that pretty well. And you got to take your hat off to George. George is in there with a young man who's extremely strong, and he's taking his best shots.
Morrison has been quoted in the last couple of days saying that he didn't think George Foreman took a punch all that well. Sage ring observers said he's whistling in the dark. Most people believe George takes a punch extremely well.
I would have to say, so far he's taking Tommy's best hook.
And you heard Foreman saying to Angelo Dundee between rounds, don't say a word, don't tell me anything. The two of them play an interesting game of psychological cat and mouse with one another as the fight progresses. Right hand by Morrison. And again, Foreman takes it well. George comes back with the jab and chases Tommy as Tommy does a pirouette against the ropes. I have a feeling that George Foreman is extremely pleased with the way things are going, Riddick.
I think at this time the tide is about to turn. I see Tommy being winded, and he's loading up with everything at this point.
Tommy seems to be getting a little anxious and trying for nothing but power punches.
And George is still calm, cool, and collected.
Left hook lands for Morrison. George keeps walking forward.
Tommy is doing something extremely well. He's throwing the hook and moving. And George has to regroup and set up all over again.
It's going to take tremendous conditioning, though, for Morrison to continue to move for 12 rounds like this. He's never fought past the 9th round. Foreman patiently stalking. Morrison using the foot movement to stay away from the jab. Looping right hand over the top for Morrison, didn't do anything. Foreman got one into the body, and now Morrison tries one to the body and lands a left hook right at the bell.
Okay, very good.
They put it in mind.
But we need combinations, punches and bunches. Lead with speed, follow with power. Lead with speed, follow with power.
You'll see the left hook to work here. That's the money punch for Tommy Morrison. A punch that could put him into the very big money. There you see George chasing a pirouetting Morrison. He's like a linebacker going after a ballet dancer.
Seems like to me George's jab is so strong it made him turn around.
Punch stat numbers through round number 5. You can see how much busier Morrison has been, how much more accurate Foreman has been. Interesting fight to try to score. Foreman landing at a 63% rate. That's not tremendously surprising because George is an accurate puncher and Tommy doesn't defend himself all that well. Round 6, Morrison with his mouth open, snorting through the nose, maybe beginning to lose his wind just a little bit. Foreman relaxed as always. Now Mills Lane is going to talk to George Foreman about the low blow. First warning, Morrison jumps in with a left hook. And Foreman goes right back to the body. We pointed out to you earlier, swelling under the right eye of Foreman and under the left eye of Morrison. Neither has turned into a dangerous situation for either fighter yet.
Tommy's using a lot of movement. I'm very impressed with that.
Got partial contact with the left hook. Well, he was determined to go side to side to make it tough for George, Riddick, and he's managed to do that so far.
Yes, indeed. But I think George in the later round should catch up with Tommy.
Why are you saying that?
Well, I think that's in George's game plan. He wants Tommy to get winded, and then he's going to apply the pressure. George isn't throwing a lot of punches. I say at this point he's preserving himself.
George looks extremely relaxed. Is that what gives you the confidence that he will still be at his best in the late rounds?
I would like to think so.
Left hook lands for Morrison. Of course, the danger for Foreman is that by allowing Tommy to be busier, he runs the risk of falling behind on points. Few people thought that this fight could go to a decision. Again, they trade punches. And again, it is Morrison who beats Foreman to the punch until George goes back to the jab and lands 3 of them in a row. Morrison goes back to foot movement to try to stay away from the jab. As soon as he stands still like that, he must punch or else fall victim to the Foreman jab.
George gave Tommy a feint, and see how he reacted, but George waited too long to fire off for it.
One thing George likes to do, Riddick, is to reach out and simply push Tommy on the shoulders to try to knock him off balance. Now Foreman lands 2 right hands, and Morrison is a little bit more open than before.
Yeah, Tommy needs to close his mouth because he'll get hit and get his jaw broken again.
Sweeping left hook landed for Morrison.